All right, so again, the light is coming from this direction. I've cleaned this drawing up, so now I'm ready to start adding some value. I like to start with the background because we already have a white object. And in order to make that white object pop out, we either have to do a big black line around it or we work on the background. So I am going to just take my charcoal pencil and I want to work again up to the background, or the tabletop, I should say. And right in nice and close to the sphere. I've got early morning light today, so I've got some more shadows than my other videos happening. I hope it doesn't bother or interrupt your viewing of this. I think I might go to my compressed. Much faster, isn't it? And I don't want it to be just like a circle, an arc around. So I'm thinking about this sort of being within a square here. Or a rectangle. And the next thing I'm going to do is rub it down. So you are required to do one of these in charcoal and one in graphite. You can use any of the techniques you want. You know, if you like the cross-hatching, or you could do stippling, probably. That's pretty good. Not very straight yet. Let me straighten out that back row. Yeah, that's much better. So that's the tabletop. Here is my drawing. This is my drawing area. Okay. Be careful not to rub your hands all over the drawing. You can use a cover sheet underneath your hand to keep it clean as you work on areas. So the darkest part of my shadow is going to be my core shadow. And I'm going to go back to the pencil. I'm not, it's not always going to be black. It depends on how much of a light source you have. How much, if this is white, this is going to bounce off more light. What value is the object to begin with? Is it a light, a white, a light gray sphere? Is it a black sphere? So all of those things will affect what value you have on a core shadow. So I'm going to build this up a little bit. The light source side, which is up and through here, will always be lighter than the back side, that reflected light. I'm going to take advantage again of this black out and through here and just start rubbing this down right to the edge and rub it down here. The farther down it goes, the more of a reflected light you're going to get. And I do not want to have lines happening in my drawing. So the next thing I'm going to do from the core shadow is work out to the light. a lot less darkness in the shadow area. We're working from core shadow. We're working into the shadow area. We're working into the light area. And we're working into the highlight. In order to see a highlight can't be on white. Otherwise, it doesn't look, you can't see it. So in order to make the highlight happening, I'm graying out this whole surface a little bit. My finger got a little smudgy there. And remember that when you have something dark around a light, it looks lighter. When you have a white around a light, it just gets lost. So I'm thinking of that as I'm getting that core shadow in. I want to just pull this core shadow up a tiny bit more. Looks a little bit too much like a stripe. Can you see how it's already starting to look like a sphere? Oops, I rubbed something down here. The last part I'm going to work on is my shadow. My pencil is pretty worn down, so I'm going to just use my compressed charcoal for right now. So the darkest part of the shadow is closest to the object. And I'm going to just drop a little bit more here, a little bit more here, and a little bit more in through here. Now I'm going to rely on rubbing. So in cast shadows, the shadow is not all the same value. It's going to be darker closer to the object, and remember, it's going to get lighter as it goes away from the object, because there's bounced light spilling into the shadow. Remember too that cast shadows do not have sharp edges generally. I'm going to take a little bit of this. So this will have a sharp edge, but the shadow will not have a sharp edge. And I'm just going to get rid of that boundary there, make the drawing a little bit bigger. All right, the last thing I'm going to do is take my pencil and really sharpen up this edge so that it's nice and sharp. The last thing you deal with is edges. Next thing I'm going to do is erase. And if your eraser is pretty rounded like this, here's a nice trick. Just cut a tiny bit off, and you see how you get a nice hard edge again, or a nice sharp edge, I should say. So that allows you to come in and make nice eraser marks. Take out that edge. And I'm going to use my pencil super light. I don't want to make this a black line around the object. But now I've got that edge back. Do you see how this got dirty too? Going to come in right up against my object. Erase this down. And tighten up that edge. Whoops, it got a little darker than I expected. And I'm going to add just a little bit more for the shadow. You see how dirty this got out here? I'm going to erase this down. Don't wipe down with dirty hands. It just makes things dirty again. There we go. That's good. So there's a sphere in charcoal. You do basically the same thing with your graphite. You want to have the object to this is, you want to have categories of light. These want to be wrapping around the form. You want to have the sense of a light source. And in the end, you want to have a nice dark background with a lighter ball. And you want to pay attention at the end to edges, sharp edges and fuzzy edges. And there's a three-dimensional form sphere.